Good morning. Happy Friday. I am Kelly Youngkins, clinical consultant and educator, and I am logged in here today to talk about success lists and applying them to parenthood. So I want to welcome you for joining me this morning, or if you're checking this recording out afterwards, thanks so much for listening. So I am here to talk about success lists, something I'm really excited about sharing. It's a huge paradigm shift for some people and really helps. It's really helped some people grab hold of their time and energy and their talents and resources and making sure that they're spending their time usefully accomplishing the things that they really want to. And so um, we're going to be applying them to parenthood today because as many of you know, if you're logged in as a parent, you know that the demands are endless and the mental load of motherhood and parenthood never really goes away, and it can be quite large and exhausting. And so I want to talk about success lists, some strategies and techniques that you can apply to your life and how you run your days and your weeks that may help you feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, and overall less frustrated, which hopefully in the end improves your mental well-being and your family's functioning. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so that's what inspired me to jump on here and talk about this. As I see, there's a great benefit in using tips and tools like this to help improve our mental and emotional well-being. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce myself, give you a little bit of a background about my clinical career and perhaps maybe why I have any right to talk about this or share my thoughts and ideas about success lists for parenthood. And then I'm going to talk about success lists versus to-do lists. I'm going to give you some tips and strategies on how to apply them, and then invite you to do a couple exercises. And then I will hold a follow-up session in a couple weeks where if you want to log on and ask any questions or maybe share a little bit about what you're noticing and using the success list and what you're discovering about yourself and in your days. So I am Kelly Youngkins. I'm a clinical consultant and educator in Ohio of United States of America. I am I've been working in mental health since 2005 in a variety of settings, and pretty much most of my work in mental health across the various settings has been working with children, adolescents, and families. So obviously, family life is something that's really important to me. I'm passionate about it. I ran a residential treatment unit for several years, in the state of Ohio, where we worked with families trying to reunify that were overcoming some really big challenges. And I absolutely loved that part of my career. And I'm the author and creator of the family reunification model, which if you look it up, it has its website, you can check it out. But I'm really passionate about finding concepts, metaphors, strategies, processes, exercises, anything that can help kids and families be at their best. It's something that really is important to me. I'm also a full-time working professional and mom. I have two children, ages 3 and 1.5, and we are about to welcome our third child here in less than 8 weeks. So I don't just talk it, I walk it, and I'm not perfect. I have by no means perfected this, but I definitely work at it, and I'm passionate in sharing it with others and hoping that they'll find the same positive benefits and improvement in their well-being by trying these strategies. So I'm excited to share this with you. I always start off in talking about how before I had children, I naively thought that I was going to write a book during my 3 months of maternity leave. I mean, that's just silly. It's just ridiculous. But it goes to show you how before I had kids, I think that no matter if you go to the classes and you read the books and you do any of your research, there are some things that you just really can't prepare yourself for. And then there's other things that I have found throughout my parenthood journey that I feel that as mental health professionals, we can help people become even better prepared more strategically by offering some things like this, like what I'm doing today with this Zoom cast. Some of the things we have to find out from experience though. And, I just laugh thinking about how I really thought that I was going to have, write a book during my maternity leave. Because for many people, that may be the first time that you're ever, quote, off for that length of time. Maybe you have been off work for that length of time, but it was probably for different circumstances. But many people think that 3 months off for family leave is, or you might not even get 3 months for family leave, but you have this time off that you're not used to. And you're not really exactly prepared in understanding what exactly those days and weeks and months are going to look like. So I had my first child in 2018. And I had my own struggles postpartum, sleep deprivation, and I just noticed through even my own challenges and my own journey, just several concepts of like how we ask for help, what kind of help we want and need, the impact that the transition into parenthood has on our mental and emotional well-being, as well as our relationships, both intimate and familial, our family relationships. So ever since then, I've been really inspired and have been working on several creative projects for perinatal mental health that I continuously, slowly share. I share several things free on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, and then other things. I have a course that we'll be piloting in the fall and debuting next year, and I'm really, really excited, to share those things with everybody because I believe in them, and I believe that if it could help one person not just survive but thrive their transition into parenthood, that's what it's all about. Because in the end, kids don't need perfect parents. They need healthy parents. They need happy parents. And parenthood really challenges that on a daily basis. And so I want to do my little part in sharing some ideas and strategies that might help somebody out there not just survive, but actually thrive. Success List is one of my favorite practical Zoom casts to do for parents, especially if you are a type A, maybe you're a people pleaser, somebody that is, really, you desperately want to feel in control because parenthood takes that element of control largely away from you, especially in the beginning. And that could be really hard for people, and that could be quite an adjustment. Or just for anybody out there who is anticipating becoming a parent, or anyone who already is a parent that might be struggling with their mental health or just the natural demands of life and parenthood. So hopefully you find a space here that you are welcome. You're not judged here. I'm not perfect. I don't have this all down perfectly. So I do want you to understand that I don't just talk the talk, I walk it too. There are days where I'm crushing this and I'm really proud of myself. And then there's other days where I'm like, ooh, that did not go so well, So I'm back to the drawing board, thinking about ways in which, things could be better. And I like to share those with people because I want people to be well. So the whole content of this cast is on Gary Keller's The One Thing book. So this is not my original concept or term. This is really from Gary Keller's The One Thing book. It's an amazing book. I've read it several times for several different reasons in my life and career. But what I like about it is he coins and introduces the concept of success lists versus to-do lists. And success lists have a micro to macro level concept, which I'll get into, but they have a micro to macro level application, which I think fits parenthood perfectly because it's all about framing our mind and the way that we operate so that we are spending our time, energy, talent, and resources where it's going to have the most impact and where it's going to be most meaningful to us. That's really powerful stuff. And that's what inspires me to share it with all of you. Success lists are all about finding the one thing, your big one thing. Like, what is your big one thing in your life that you're here to do, to spend your time, energy, talent, and resources on? But it also starts on a micro level, a very small level of being able to make deliberate choices in priority setting so that you are making the time and space for the things that really matter, and not getting stuck or swept away in other people's stuff or other stuff that really just isn't going to get you to spending your time and talent and resources and energy with what matters most to you and what is most meaningful, what has the most impact in your life. So it's really, just really incredible. The book is not expensive. If you have the resources, I encourage you to pick it up. I don't get, PS, there's no conflict of interest. I don't get any reimbursement for plugging his book. It's just a great resource that I'm genuinely, authentically passionate about. So I want to share some key points about success lists versus to-do lists. Then I'm going to talk to you about some exercises to do, and then actually applying it into your life. So some key points. To-do lists are always long. We have to honor that and realize that to-do lists are always long, and they generally almost always leave you feeling overwhelmed. They make you feel like the list never ends. And I'm sure that if you've ever written a to-do list, you have noticed yourself that there's always something else that you can think of to add to this to-do list. Okay. It's just one big long list of pressure and responsibility and things that need done, right? And while it could make you feel good in identifying what we do need to do, that's one of the steps and one of the benefits of doing a to-do list, which I'll still encourage you to do, is to make a to-do list. But ultimately, it's going to be an exercise in prioritizing and time framing that list to really set you up for success. So while it does do you some good in identifying what needs to go on that list, and it can even feel good checking things off, the thing is the list never goes away. The list always continues to grow, and there's repeating items. So in order to maximize the benefit of feeling the satisfaction of completing your list or your success list, or focusing on what really needs accomplished, we need to reframe our brains to operate in success lists. Okay. So I really invite you to start reframing your thinking about the whole mental load of motherhood, the whole mental load of parenthood, and instead focus on success lists every day and every week and every month and every year. And I have a sneaking suspicion that you're going to notice a difference in your stress level and your overall well-being by reframing your thinking about all the stuff that it is that you are responsible for and that you need to do. By refocusing it on a success list instead of a to-do list, it will help you. So here's some key points about a success list. Success lists are short. So while to-do lists are always long and usually leave you feeling overwhelmed, success lists are short. Okay, they're very targeted. They're very prioritized. It's an art. A success list is an art in discernment. And what I mean by that is an art in discernment means an art in identifying and distinguishing and prioritizing, like being able to clearly identify what it is that actually goes on your success list. Okay, it's an art and discernment. So over the course of time of you using this skill, you are going to enhance your skill of discernment, of knowing what you need to choose yes for and what you should be saying no to. What isn't exactly a priority right now in this day or in this moment or in this week, but instead being able to identify very clearly what is a priority and what will set you up for success. So it's an art and discernment. It's also an exercise in discipline. And what that means is, while you can create your to-do list and then prioritize and discern what needs to go where. Ultimately, if you don't exercise the discipline and executing it the way that it needs to go, you're still spinning your wheels. And so it's an exercise in discipline. And once you identify like, hey, these one or two things that need to happen today are going to set me up for success for tomorrow or for the rest of the week, you need to do those things. If you still choose to procrastinate and blow them off and allow yourself to get sucked into the endless to-do list, and squander your time, you're not going to get to feel the real satisfaction of the success list. So it's an exercise in discipline. Overall, a success list is an example of how to reframe your thinking to promote your well-being. Okay. So it's really about retraining your brain to see that whatever couple things that you identify as being on your success list on any given day or week or month, that those are the things that are going to really count. And those make you feel good. So to-do lists are long and overwhelming and help in identifying things that need to be done. But ultimately, it's success lists that help you really discern priority and execution and discipline in reaching your goals so that you are spending your time and energy and resources where it really is going to have its most impact. Okay. So, but it first starts with an exercise in values. So this is something that I truly invite you to make the time and space in your life to do this. Get out a piece of paper. And I want you don't have to do it now, but make some time and space in your life where you sit down and you think about what are the values that you have as a parent or as a family unit. Like, what are your values? I would encourage you to start with your own, because sometimes you and your partner or you and your caregiving partner may have some conflicting values. So I would encourage you to start with your own values first. What values do you have as a parent that matter to you? Okay, so take the time to list those things out. I'll give you some examples. For some families, they value having, being on time, or being all put together when they get somewhere. Other families, maybe they value, maybe they value not having a clean house. Maybe they really don't care whether the house is clean and in order, but they care that their family, they're spending quality time together and that they're loved um, and what have you. It's all about the values. For me, I'll give some examples. That is a common one that I think sometimes separates me from some of my motherhood peers is I value being on time still, even as a parent. And I know that once you have children, it is one of the hardest things to achieve is being on time. Um, but it's a value that I have. And I believe strongly that it stems from my work in mental health, that my time, was somebody else's, and that a large part of my reputation and my client satisfaction was built on making sure that I'm on time and ready to go to serve them in the capacity of counselor. And in other ways, being on time matters to me. So when I set up my success list and what I need to accomplish on any given day or week, my value of being on time drives my decision making on what I need to do by when, so that I am on time. And then ultimately, life happens, kids happen. It's inevitable that there's going to be times where you're not going to miss the mark. But having a value of being on time for me is something that just drives my decision making. So that's just one example. Other times, people might have the value of, well, they really value having one home cooked meal, at the table together with everybody or something every day. Well, that's going to just drive your decision making and how you set up your day and what you need to accomplish. Okay. So take the time out to list your values so that you can at least be aware of them. Many of us, if we don't make the time and space to actually run through that exercise, you would be surprised at how you don't realize how many other people's values or beliefs are actually dictating your day and your time. And so take the time and space to make sure that your decisions are driven out of your values and your family's values. Because otherwise, as you work through the art of your success list, if you don't make sure that your values are driving your list and your priorities, you're still going to end up feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and torn, because in your heart of hearts is going to know that you're not really spending your time and energy where you truly want it to be, or where you know that it truly needs to be. So I encourage you to do that exercise. The other thing is, think when you do your success list, something else that I encourage you to do to help you start practicing this art of discernment and identifying as you move through these exercises is, I draw a stick person and they're surrounded by circles. And in those circles, I put, the different areas of life that we always have. You should have yourself. Definitely make yourself a priority. You may have a spouse, a wife or a husband or partner, a significant other that maybe is in your life. You have your house, wherever it is that you live. You have your children, however many children you have. You might have animals. You might have the work area of your life. You have a financial area of your life. You have your health area of your life. You have extended family. You have your social life. You have all these other domains of your life. Okay. And those all come with responsibilities and demands. Okay. And so when they all want or need something, it can feel very overwhelming to accomplish what you need to do as a parent, as a person, and take care of your family and meet all the other demands and the other domains of your life. So this is where the success list and the strategy comes in. I'm still a fan. I'll be the first to admit that I am a visual person, and I love using calendars or even paper. There's a lot of research that backs the power of the pen to the paper. And so I'll still always encourage people to write things down. But one of the things that I do to exercise the art and discernment in planning ahead of setting myself up for success is a calendar like this. And if you're only listening to the video of this, this is a paper calendar made by knockknockstuff.com. Again, I'm not paid to promote this, but it's just something that I've found that's kind of useful for me and our family. But it's a 5-day-a-week calendar. And I use this every week to take a look at my week ahead and think about, what is it that needs to happen on any of these given days. I always start with one thing with my home life, one thing like such as the kids, like the house or the kids, one thing with myself that might need to happen, such as wash my hair. If you can't see me, I have very long hair. But one thing that needs to happen with the kids or my family, one thing that needs to happen for myself, and then maybe something that needs to happen for work, or for some other area of my life. And so you may stop and be like, well, Kelly, hold on, that's like already 3 things right there. I thought we were focusing on the one thing. Yes, we are. But there may be one thing for every area of your life. And so you have to really focus on like what absolutely is demanding your time and attention that's going to set you up for success. So the short answer is, there may be only one thing on any given day, but there might be a couple. You don't want to go over more than like 4, okay? Because then you're starting to get into to-do lists. It's really about, what are the couple things that need to happen on any given day or week that is going to set you up for success. In Gary's book, he has a great quote, and I'm going to read it to you, that the real beauty and the power of the one thing is, it's all about, what is the one thing that I can do today or this week, that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. Okay, so it's really about setting yourself up for success. So another strategy and example I want to give you is, every week usually Friday, I look at the very next week and I start planning out like what is the one thing that needs to happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I think about all that's going on in our lives. My husband runs his own business. I work, I have 2 kids, we have everybody has lots of responsibility, so it's like you look at what do you need to be taken care of, and then you focus on what's going on, of what needs to go, what needs to happen that's going to set you up for success. Another, just little example that I define based on my values. I value having my kids clean. So I make sure that my kids get a bath every other day. Unless like they're like totally dirty or we're in the mud or something, of course I'll give them a bath every day if they need to. But for the most part, I make sure that we hit bath time every other day. So I mark that down because, life gets hectic. And if I don't write down what day they had a bath, it's very easy to forget what day they had a bath. Okay. So, but that's something that is a value for me. So I make sure that I keep track of that. And so some days, you know, something that might be on my list is maybe completing payroll and making sure my kids get a bath. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, if I don't do anything, I have to do payroll and my kids have to have a bath. Of course, they have to eat and I have to change their diaper and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, what is the value that I have that's going to set me up for success so that other problems, so that it doesn't create other problems and make things more complicated or harder. So, and it also makes sure that instead of getting lost in, oh, I don't know, whatever it is that I could be doing, that I make sure that I make time and space to give my kids a bath that night, because there's always going to be things on the to-do list, right? So it's all about looking ahead. So get into the habit. And I encourage you to either get a paper calendar. You could also use your phone or your computer, whatever mechanism you use that works for you. It doesn't matter the mechanism. It's just whatever you're going to use consistently, whatever you're going to look at consistently, but make the time and space to look ahead, to plan ahead, to prioritize what absolutely needs to happen. Like what would make that day a success? What would, if you didn't accomplish anything else on that day, but that one thing, what would make it a success? Okay. That's what you're going to do. And I use these calendars, these paper calendars, just because like I said, I'm a visual person. I like to write things down, and it helps you because in the beginning of this, when you're new to this, um, you may struggle. You may naturally want to write down like 5 things, but then you take a look at like what you think those 5 things are that would set you up for success for. And then you really pick just like 3, like, what do I absolutely really need to do? What could wait until the next day? Meal prepping is another example that our family also values and that we do. We make sure that we prep our food like, for the week ahead, that way that to make sure that we're eating well and taking care of ourselves, and that it also makes things easier for managing the kids when things are already cooked and prepared, that like when things get crazy, you can come home, heat things up, dish it out, things like that. So meal prepping, planning ahead, being a working professional, I make sure that every night that the kids' clothes, are picked out and their book bags are packed and and things are in the car. Those are things that have to happen to set us up for success. So your success list can literally be, I'm just giving some examples of my own life, but your examples they could range from anything, so I just encourage you to start thinking like this, taking the time and space to write out your values, use a calendar of some sort and start identifying what those things are, and then holding yourself accountable. And I know that our time is up, so I am going to invite you back in a couple weeks to revisit this topic. And I would love to hear from you what you think about the content and the strategies and the tips. And if there's anything that you found that has been working really well for you, or if there's something that maybe that you're stuck on, or just whatever feedback or experience that you have with this concept, I'd be delighted to hear about it. So I'm going to wrap up there. I really appreciate if you've listened this far. I hope that you've found something in our time useful. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And stay tuned. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.